There have been many things that I have learned about the technologies throughout the process of filmmaking. One form of technology that I used was a camera. The camera that we had used was a Panasonic camera with a focus ring. Using this had enabled us to experiment with how the camera's lens was to blur out and how it could be effective to use to attract our audience into watching our opening scene. When using the camera, we was very considerate about how you use the camera to get the right angle, movement and shot types, and how you have to make sure you get the right things in the right places. Otherwise it messes up the whole scene and the atmosphere that you are trying to create. Also, you have to be very aware of the composition of where the camera is, and for you to have to make sure that you have placed it in the right spot in order to catch the right action. I have also learned how to use a Mac and Final Cut Pro. Before I started this process, I had no experience of using a Mac and also Final Cut. However, since the preliminary exercise, I have further developed my knowledge on how to use the Mac and Final Cut. When I first used Final Cut, I had very little knowledge and how to import media that we had filmed and how to actually form a sequence to create a clear narrative so that the audience is able to understand the genre of the film. I had some precise using of Final Cut before constructing the trailer by doing an example of our opening sequence to develop the skills needed to construct together the trailer for our film and how to make it as realistic as I could. Another form of technology that I used was the internet. We had decided to use the internet, so we was able to use the internet for research before we constructed together our opening sequence, so that we was able to understand different iconographies that were used in vampire films and how we could make ours the most effective opening sequence we could. I had also used Blogger to upload any work that was required. At the beginning of the course, we needed to set up a blog. I had very little understanding of how to do this, but after receiving help from one of my peers, I was able to set one up. I also didn't know how to upload work from Script-D, but once I had help from one of my peers, I was able to upload my work. There has been many different skills learnt throughout this process, but however, there are skills that can still be learnt, such as I have not yet figured out everything on Final Cut, as there are many different features, but however, I have learnt the basics of using Final Cut Pro and developed my skills on using the camera and how precise you have to be when filming.